Okay. He had found Horace waiting for him, his hand ready on his sword hilt, where he had felt him in the tunnel. Where he had left them in the tunnel. Did you find out anything? The apprentice warrior whispered hoarsely. Will let go a pent-up breath, realizing that he'd been holding it for some time now. Plenty, he said, all of it bad. He held up a hand to forestall Horace's further questions. Let's get back across the bridge, he said. I'll tell you then. He glanced into the side tunnel where they had left the Celt miner. Have you heard anything more from Glendis, he asked. Horace shrugged sadly. He started moaning about an hour ago. Then he went quiet. I think he's dead. At least he died the way he wanted to, he said. Then he followed Will back through the dimly lit tunnel to the bridge. They made their way across the planking again, to where Evelyn waited with the horses, well back from the bridge and out of sight. When they were close, Will called her name softly, so as to avoid startling her. Horace had left his dagger with Evelyn, and Will thought an armed Evelyn would not be a person to approach unexpectedly. As he described the scene at the other end of the tunnel, he hastily scratched a map in the sand for them. Somehow we're going to have to find a way to delay Morgarth's forces, he said. The other two looked at him curiously. Delay them? How could 2 apprentices and a girl delay 500 Canadians and several thousand ruthless Wargles? I thought you said we should get word to the king, Evelyn said. We don't have time anymore, Will said simply. Look, they leaned forward as he smoothed over the diagram he had drawn in the sand and hastily sketched out a new one. He wasn't sure that it was totally accurate, but at least it included the most important features of the kingdom, as well as the southern plateau where Morgarth ruled. They said they have more Canadians coming up the cliffs on the south coast to join with the Wargles we've already seen. They'll cross the fissure here, where we are, and move north to attack the barons in the rear, while they wait for Morgarth to try to break out of the 3-step pass. Yes, said Horace, we know that. We guessed it as soon as we saw the bridge. Will looked up at him, and Horace felt silent. He realized the ranger apprentice had something else to say. But, said Will, emphasizing the word and pausing for a moment, I also heard they saying something about Horth and his men marching around through Thorntree Forest that's up here to the north of the plains of Uthal. Evelyn grasped the point immediately, which would bring the Canadians northwest of the king's army. They'd be trapped between the Wargles and Canadians who have crossed the bridge and the other forces from the north. Exactly, said Will, meeting her gaze. They could both appreciate how dangerous that situation would be for the assembled barons. Expecting a Canadian attack through the Finlands to the east, they'd be taken by surprise from not one but 2 different directions, caught between the arms of a pincer and crushed. Then we'd better warn the king, surely, insisted Horace. Horace, said Will patiently, it would take us 4 days to reach the plains. Even more reason to get going. We haven't a moment to waste, said the young warrior, and then put in Evelyn, seeing Will's point. It would take at least another 4 days for any sort of force to get back here and hold the bridge, maybe more. That's 8 days all told, said Will. Remember what the poor miner said? The bridge will be ready in 4 days. The Wargles and Canadians will have plenty of time to cross the fissure, assemble in battle formation, and attack the king's armies. But Horace began, and Will interrupted him. Horace, even if we get warning to the king and the barons, they'll be badly outnumbered, and they'll be caught between 2 forces with no way to retreat. The swamps of the Finlands will be behind them. Now I know we have to get a warning to them, but we can also do something here to even the numbers. Plus, Evelyn put in, and Horace turned to face her. If we can do something to stop the Wargles and Scanadians crossing here, the king will have the advantage over this northern force of Scanadians. Horace nodded. They won't be outnumbered, I guess, he said. Evelyn nodded, but then added, that's part of it, but those Scanadians will be expecting reinforcements to attack the king from the rear, reinforcements that will never arrive. Understanding dawned in Horace's eyes. He nodded slowly several times. Then the frown returned. But what can we do to stop the Wargles here? He asked. Will and Evan exchanged a glance. He could see they'd come to the same conclusion. They both spoke at the same time. Burn the bridge, they said. Oh my gosh, oh, what a cliffhanger. Okay, well, thank you for listening to me read chapter 21. If you'd like to listen to me chapter 22, then please stay tuned. It was only like 6 minutes, so therefore my reading upside down has improved. Oh, look at that. And also this was a pretty short chapter. Anyway, thank you, bye-bye.